welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. This is episode 542 of this weekly omnibus news and analysis radio program and television program, streaming live on X, Rumble, BitChute, YouTube as well, Facebook Live, Odyssey, as well as 21stcenturywire.com. You can always catch us if you miss the live stream on any of those platforms. It will be there ready for you afterwards, and on the audio streams later tonight and tomorrow, hopefully. But again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. Some big stories, a lot to talk about. We're going to bring on some members of the team. We'll be joined in just a few moments as they filter into the studio. I see some people arriving right now to talk about this and other things. I'm sure they've got some strong opinions about these issues as well. Let's try to bring on to the stage if we can at the moment. We'll bring on Ruckus, host of the Daily Ruckus, Bryan McClain, aka Hesher, host of the Boiler Room. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Or evening.
How are you guys doing, holding the fort down with the madness? I thought we were going to get the week off. You know, no new wars, maybe no earth-ending crisis, and sure enough, the rug got pulled from the economy. I don't know if you guys have any opinions on this. A lot of people are. It's a lot of heated debates on this. By the way, I've never seen such heated debates as this topic domestically in the U.S. And so, first of all, who wants to shoot on this one? The tariff wars. I'm calling it the Smoot-Hawley trip. That Trump's on a Smoot-Hawley trip. Gentlemen, feel free to weigh in.
As an investor, I'm not very happy. I'm not like the old moneyed people who know where to hide their stuff. But you were in the first part, you were mentioning Warren Buffett. I'm pretty sure I had heard a few months ago that out of nowhere, the dude dropped all of his stocks, sold everything, and he's like all exclusively into cash. And lo and behold, that's just before what we're witnessing now. It's almost like some of these people know what's going to happen before it does. Very interesting. But yeah, I'm mildly invested in a couple stocks here and there and a little bit of crypto, and it's all. I think it's like somehow it's negative. I don't know if that's possible, but I think I owe people money now. It's so bad. It's terrible. So I understand why some people are upset.
So what, if you don't mind me asking, which stocks are not performing particularly well that you've heard about, that you've heard about?
All of them.
Really?
Like the big ones, actually, it's funny because the tech stocks have been having a little issue ever since the fiasco with the AI, because remember we had Larry Ellison and the Project Stargate, and they're like, here's a crap ton of billions of dollars just to make AI, and China's like, hold my beer, and they released DeepSeek like practically for free, trained it on like a shoestring budget, apparently, allegedly, we don't know, and then that sent everything tumbling. So NVIDIA has been like one of the biggest performers recently, but I think they, like everybody, are down now. Like it was 2 days in a row, crash and then crash, and yeah, everybody's comparing it. It's the worst it's been since the Kofu, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty significant, because we haven't, so far as I know, we haven't shut down the world. So it's got to be pretty bad to have that kind of an effect, you know. And my crypto stocks are definitely repeating what they did 4 or 5 years ago now. Crazy. Or just 2 weeks ago, because that's all it took to slow that spread, right?
Yep. So rather than the COVID shutting down the economy, to have the stock market crash to the same level as COVID on an announcement of tariffs, that's a pretty big thing, pretty significant rapture, if you will, for a lot of investors, or a tribulation, depending on what side of the ledger you're on there. Hesher, what do you think about this tariff wars and the infighting amongst Republicans as well on the economic issues? It's interesting. What are your observations so far?
Yeah, the infighting's been my favorite part on everything lately. I have to find entertainment in all of this somehow, and I feel like the Michael Jackson gif, you know, just sitting there eating my popcorn, watching this all go down. Similarly with sort of the whole Candace Owens thing becoming all of a sudden just, You know, she's getting boosted by these MAGA accounts calling her an anti-Semite and stuff. And the comments threads under that, oh my gosh, I'm absolutely loving those. It's like every other comment, you know, is some mommy blogger just, you know, backing her up and calling the whoever made the post and tried to slander her you know, as an anti-Semite and a hater, a hateful person and all this. It's funny watching, you know, middle-aged white women come in and go, "You're wrong. You're a crazy political Zionist." You know, like that to me I spent probably 45 minutes just reading the comments under that thread last night that was dropped by one of those D-bag accounts to call her trying to call her a racist, and it was just so fun, you know. But when you back out and look at it, you know, outside of that little sandbox, it's not very fun. You know, you outlined the failings that we've seen so far, as you know, in the first part of the show there, and it's sad. It's sad to see. It was like the first couple months. You know, I guess we're into starting the third month here now, pretty much. And the first couple months, it was like I could kind of sandbox my two opinions of this administration, right? Like you've got the domestic happenings, which for the most part I liked a lot of them, and then you had the international parts. For the most part I didn't like any of it. And now with the tariff thing, it's like, okay, this is stuff that's going to splash back into the national realm and could completely change things. So we spent a lot of time on Boiler Room on Thursday night talking about this from all the different perspectives. And you know, it's like when you look at just the concept of reciprocal tariffing, it's like it makes sense, right? It's like, oh, okay, you know, we even went back to 1996. Mystical Pharaoh brought a clip from Nancy Pelosi in 1996 talking about tariffs and you know, how it was not reciprocal whatsoever. I mean, she basically sounded like a MAGA person, you know. 1996, Nancy Pelosi minus about 10,000 gallons of vodka and 50,000 bottles of Valium later.
And the Botox.
Yeah, and a lot of Botox, and it's just a completely different person. So, you know, it's really interesting to watch that. But, you know, one of the big takeaways from our conversation on Thursday night for me was, you know, we kind of started going off into this cul-de-sac about, well, why is Klaus Schwab retiring, and why is George Soros retiring, and all these, you know, unelected demon lords basically handing off their crowns to their little goblin children. And everybody's like, oh, you know, cool, Schwab's out of here, he can't take the Trump life. And, you know, we kind of were like, well, wait a minute, what if these guys all just completed their story arc? What if they completed all their tasks and now it's time for them to retire, just like they'd planned for 100 years, because they're all about 100 years old, and then they just give it to their little demon spawn children. And then, you know, we pick up on, you know, they work towards Agenda 2030. They work towards whatever event horizon we're going towards in 2033 or 2035. And it just makes sense. It's like, oh, you know, we're grasping at fixing things that need to be fixed. And that's great marketing for the politicians on the MAGA side. However, all of these things that we say we're fixing maybe are not fixable. And that's the whole point. Like you were saying, it took 30, 40 years to offshore all of our manufacturing and change the dynamic of geopolitics as they pertain to economics. It took 30, 40 years to do the culture war. You know, all these things have happened and you can't really roll them back. Then you certainly wouldn't be able to roll them back in a 4-year term presidency. So it's like we're being given a lot of shiny toys that we've been asking for decades now, basically. And is it too late, right? Is this all just a veneer of moving stuff around on the geopolitical chessboard?
Yeah, you know, I don't know what to say. I mean, I will say this: Tucker Carlson did an interesting interview with Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, and he released it yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. I've gotten about 30 minutes into it, and this is one of the good things about Tucker. If he manages to get somebody like that on a current event, somebody inside, and they talk for an hour and a half, a lot of stuff comes out. And Scott Bessett said something that a huge alarm bell went off. About 30 minutes in, he says, well, COVID, that was kind of like a dry run for a wartime situation. This is exactly what we've written about. It's what we talked about at the time, how they were creating the war experience, the supply chains, all that stuff, shutting down this, shutting down that, consolidating that, without the actual shooting war, without the World War III. And the fact that he said that, and then the caveat they all make is, and it needed to be done because of COVID. Okay, it didn't need to be done because of COVID. We know that. Anybody with a brain knows that. Anybody honest who's really serious about the issue and looked at it knows that. But these are people in power that are covering their tracks of all this stuff, and they all got rich out of this. They got rich. We got stuck with the inflation. We get stuck with the disaster of putting $12 trillion on the Fed balance sheet. We pay $20 for a tuna sandwich and a bag of chips. Okay, that's us. That doesn't have anything to do with Scott Bessett and the world he lives in, or Donald Trump, or Elon Musk. But I'll tell you, and I think Ruckus hit the nail on the head. Warren Buffett, so clever, he got everything out right in the nick of time. So, that's why they call him the Sage of Omaha. He's just that talented. Or he had inside information. But this is how they roll. Those guys roll differently, I guess. So,
inside information on that one. Like it's gotten so ridiculous, the amount of insider trading that happens. And of course, there's people in this administration talking about stopping that. Good luck. I mean, how does that pass? How does that pass on Capitol Hill? Hey guys, slam the gavel down. We're gonna stop the gravy train. So go home and collect up all those gold bars you got sitting in the pockets of your suits in your closet, and that Peloton that they gave you for the $500 million this and that, all this kind of stuff. I'm using ridiculous examples, but they're not ridiculous because we actually have seen each of those things happen. There was that New Jersey senator
Menendez, Bob Menendez.
Yeah, Menendez. I mean, that guy's just one small fish example. He's like a nothing compared to what Nancy and Paul Pelosi are sitting on, and everybody at that level. And my concern, I was talking about this on the Pulse Radio. By the way, everybody, I broadcast on the Pulse today, Monday through Friday, from noon to 2 Pacific. And I was, on Friday on my show, I was talking about sort of the new version of politics. I've mentioned this on the show before, kind of, things are going to change. The old people are getting so old in there that, it's just time for that. No one really resonates with them anymore. So it's like, what's going to happen in 40 years? I would predict, if we still have a country, that we'll see AOC sitting in there looking just like Nancy Pelosi did in her 70s or something like that. And probably I won't be surprised if the squad 40 years from now ends up sounding like, MAGA talking points or something like that. After watching, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi from, 1996, and then comparing it to how they talk now, you can just see these people aren't there for politics. They have no interest in politics whatsoever. They're there for power, money, influence. And of course, they just get that stuff dribbled to them by the actual people with power, money, and influence. So, this whole concept, and now I'm hearing that they're floating polls right now for AOC to replace Chuck Schumer. People are talking about an AOC Bernie Sanders bill. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
he's older than Biden.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like, oh, you don't want any more crusty old white dudes, but they're going to run the crusty old white socialist with the PR cutout, from Justice Democrats. I mean, it's laughable.
The socialist with 4 homes.
Yeah.
That one, the multimillionaire.
Yeah, two card carrying socialist. That'll be the remedy to the MAGA crowd. I mean, you could just, I don't know, really, I could even see it happening at this point. I could see them like rigging that to happen just so that the pendulum moves as quickly as possible and violently as possible, which again is something that we've seen historically leading up to wars, massive war events. Is the radicalization of the identity politic on both sides, fast swings from right to left, and an environment that is just extremely agitated, one that's meant to give campaign points to, the left and the right, and then, falsely fulfill them or poorly fulfill them and then apply blame to the other side. These tactics seem to be ramping up, moving faster, and having more violent swings to them, metaphorically and literally right now.
And Ruckus, what do you think if for the Democrats? I mean, Hesher's mentioned AOC. Obviously, that's a known brand, but you take someone like Gavin Newsom, who's completely unhinged, just mad, crazy guy, and he's really damaged from the whole LA fire thing. He still hasn't kind of recovered from that. But the establishment could look at him and say, all we have to do is bring this guy to the center and ape a lot of MAGA talking points in the way that Steve Bannon, someone like this, knows how to do. I personally, this is what I'm predicting, that you might see a defection from MAGA because there's some apolitical anarcho-capitalist types. And if they go to someone like a Democrat, like a Newsom, doesn't have to be Newsom, but they jump over there because they know the formula. They can do MAGA blue. And there's so much anger with the Musk. I mean, Musk has just brought out the worst in everything, as we predicted would happen. And then Trump as well, with his ham-fisted, these crazed bombing runs in Yemen, and then gloating about it on X, posting drone footage of tribes people getting. So Ruckus, what do you think? Do you think that the establishment might look at the possibility of moving MAGA centrist talking points over to the left and then building up a whole new opposition column in the next couple years? What do you think?
I guess that's how they do it, right? That's politics. But there does seem to be a lot more than usual, in my experience, anyways. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of changing teams. Everybody's been switching teams. We had the Democrat RFK Jr., I think Tulsi Gabbard, a lot of these people who did the switch over for a little while to independent to break away from the party, and the next thing you know, they're aligned and inside the current Republican administration. And now I saw the news about this, that Eric Adams, far left crazy Democrat mayor, right, in New York, he's switching teams now because he's sick of the treatment that he got. They treated him the same, so now he's MAGA, I guess. I'm so confused.
Eric Adams.
Yes, you didn't hear. Yeah, he's switching teams. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So this is just getting out of hand.
Yeah. So I can easily see your scenario. I mean, because it's already happening as we speak. So I don't see. And Gavin Newsom, that's very interesting that you compared him to Steve Bannon, because Gavin Newsom has taken on the mantle of our industry here. He's podcasting and doing a radio show of some sort, an interview, sit down, fireside chat kind of. He's really trying to rebrand himself. So, oh gosh, I could easily see him running. I don't know about Bernie Sanders and AOC, but there is some real talk, as he mentioned, that people have expressed an interest in seeing AOC be the new crying Chuck Schumer. So that could very well happen, and probably sooner than most people think, So we'll see. There's a lot of this changing of the guard. And again, I haven't seen that much happen for, I don't know, as long as I've been paying attention to politics as an adult anyways, is everybody's like dyed in the wool their team. And then, I guess, granted, Trump back in the day himself used to be a Democrat, right? So here we are.
Yeah, all of them were pretty much. So there's going to be loads of white space on the blue side, a lot of vacancies. So you'll be able to find a nice parking space there if you play your cards right. So yeah, so it looks like they're going to have to move to the center because it's just been a disaster. Biden was just an apocalypse for the Democrats, and it was a disaster of their own making, and it's what they wanted, and they bet on basically the worst possible bet, and it was a disaster. And they got they invigorated and energized MAGA, and gave Trump a landslide win because they were really, really bad. So that's definitely the message. So I think you might even see a Bannon or somebody like that even defect as a campaign manager, or somebody from a previous conservative side that knows the market really well. And because this is like you were saying, Hesher, there's a new media, as Ruckus is saying, there's podcasts now rather than mainstream. It's a whole new formula now. So new politics, new formula, new delivery, new sales pitch. And so the conservatives seem to be on the cutting edge of that. That's one thing you can say with MAGA on these issues. And they're actually more in touch with the working class, as is proven by the last election. So I think that Democrats are going to be like, oh, we have to get some of this. So there's going to be guns for hire. There's going to be guns for hire. And James Carville and some of these guys are getting too dinosaur-esque to be running campaigns. So they'll be sitting on the sidelines commenting on MSNBC and stuff. But the switching teams thing, a lot of team switching back and forth and back again in some cases. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, did you guys get a chance to see this? I'll bring this up on stage. This is on Truth Social. Only true things appear on Truth Social, just so you know. And this is what Trump said here. The Houthis gathering for instructions for a terrorist attack. Oops. Ha ha ha. LOL. There will be no attack by these Houthis. And then boom, a big crater. And it looks like, and I'll just bring this so we have this up on screen so you guys can see, and I hope the audience can have a good look. We'll enlarge it as well. So that's what a tribal gathering looks like, especially after Eid. It's the end of the holiday celebration. That's kind of what it looks like there. Get a closer look. So that's it. Out in a very similar rural area on a road or whatever, trees around. This is like a zhurga or a tribal meeting, very normal sort of thing in Iraq or Yemen or even in Arabian Peninsula and so forth. So Trump is saying, no, these were terrorists planning an attack on the U.S. So what do you guys think? What are the odds that Trump is accurate in his analysis on that informed this glorious drone strike, which he's kindly shared with us on Truth Social? Any
Well, I'm
laughing, but it's not funny, but it is almost, it's laughable. It's not funny, but it is laughable. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I when I saw that last night, I immediately scrolled down and did the same thing. I just, went through the comments and tried to, take the barometer, use the comments as a barometer to see what people were thinking. And my first thought was, well, wait a minute, just what was it, a week ago, they bombed an apartment complex because they had intel that one target had gone into that apartment complex to visit a girlfriend, and they killed everybody in the apartment complex. They leveled the entire thing. So my first thought was, well, that certainly doesn't look like a military operation. This is before I read anything about it, took any opinions in. I watched it a couple times. It did not look like a military operation, probably similar to what we saw in the apartment complex a week ago. And then I started reading the comments, and the one that resonated that was near the top of the list was from Scott Ritter, and it said, real Donald Trump, it's a tribal gathering. If you took the time to know your enemy, you'd realize you just murdered a bunch of innocent civilians. Instead, you rely on ignorant drone operators who are under pressure to produce results, because the truth is your air campaign hasn't done squat, basically. So that definitely ruffled some feathers. And then you can really see the, it's like shaking up the ant farm, basically, because you can just see the different colored ants just piling on. You've got people telling him he's an idiot. Then you've got all these people supporting him. And then you've got your hardcore, MAGAs that are, doing a victory lap, basically, because of like they look at it like it's Call of Duty or something, like they just got a multi-kill.
Yeah, there's a kind of Call of Duty aspect to it. Yeah, I don't. By the way, full disclosure, I rarely use the AI that's available on some of these apps. I just, for some reason, I am a Luddite. I usually lag behind technology a few years. It took me many years to get a smartphone. I was very much in love and enamored with my Nokia Banana, my Matrix phone. So I didn't get a smartphone until 2012 because I was doing journalism kind of in the field, and I needed to remember it was that streaming site, livestream.com. I can't remember what it was called. Ustream. So I was live streaming from an old Samsung. So that was my first smartphone in 2012, but I'd held out. Hadn't got the iPhone or anything like that. But I started using, I only use AI for certain things. And here's one of them. I'll bring this up on screen in a moment. But let me see. We'll get my my AI there. I don't know if we can see this or not. So I use it for illustrations. I'll do a swap real quick. But so with this drone striking and all this sort of business, with it reminds me a lot of Barack Obama. And you know how everyone trashed Obama because, and rightfully so, because he's a little bit too over enthusiastic on the drone hits against shepherds and sheep herders and things like that, hitting weddings, especially Yemen. Obama had this thing with bombing Yemen. It was kind of a fetish of sorts. It's very strange. Anyway, Trump is he's at it basically. So what we're saying here, guys, is, and thanks to Grok for quickly doing this illustration for us here. Takes one to know one, Mr. President. So the Medal of Freedom, Barack Obama awards Donald Trump, who has now been baptized into that special club. So no more anti-war president. That's kind of over. Is the illusion been shattered, guys, on Trump's peace veneer, anti-war veneer, man of peace?
I just watched a supercut the other day of all the times Trump was talking about how he's a peaceful president. He wants peace, this, peace, that. I mean, leading up to just the days before the election, days after the election, and yeah, here he is celebrating bombing what was clearly. I mean, we've all seen the movies. I know we're not in part of the military. I don't think any of us here on this stream have served in the military, but we've watched enough movies to know that scene that you were showing of the villager tribal group out there in the dirt, that's exactly what every military strike planning looks like in that country. They got a stick and they draw their plans out in the dirt. Remember, we've all seen the scenes.
Yeah.
Yep. Because they just ride camels and they don't know their butt from their faces, but yet they're sinking U.S. ships apparently, and we got to make it stop. But they need to draw their plans in the dirt. That makes perfect sense, right?
Take the stick and you make a map and draw arrows. Yep. This is normal military planning. And Trump and his team.
When you're in kindergarten playing in the sandbox, maybe. Right?
They would know that. They study these things. They're experts in terrorism. So of course, how could they be wrong? I mean, the United States doesn't make mistakes, you guys, like that. I mean, they don't, or they're not careless and slapdash with their bombing runs. It's like so uncharacteristic, especially for Trump. He's a peace president. So the naysayers.
It is a bit of a projection. At least we don't have to wonder exactly how the current administration is planning on taking care of the next round of who or what they call domestic terrorists, because we can see how they treat terrorists in other countries. Is this a clear sign of what they're going to do to us? I don't know. I hope not.
Yeah. Well, it used to be the fear of Eric Holder launching drone strikes. Drone strikes on Bundy Ranch. Remember that one?
Yeah.
It came from was it? Yeah, it came down the rumor mill at the time. But that was the fear there. But looks like Trump is a dab hand. By the way, here's the pulse.today. Hesher is broadcasting there. When is your broadcast on the Pulse?
Monday through Friday, noon Pacific time and 3 p.m. Eastern time for 2 hours. And then I'm followed up by my former co-host at State of the Nation, Timothy Shea, and of course our friend Basil Valentine's over there. Lembit is over there. There's a group of us that are over there keeping the microphones warm and the cameras warm. The Pulse has added 2 radio stations. So if you notice up in the top, there's Pulse Radio 1 and Pulse Radio 2.
Mhm.
I'm doing strict radio, so you won't find me on video over there. You'll find me on the Pulse Radio 2. And that's for those in Central. That's 2 p.m. Central. So noon Pacific, 2 Central, 3 Eastern, and I think 7 UK time PM. So Pulse Radio 2 is where you find me, and we really want to see the Pulse come back. We want to see Today's News Talk come back. So a number of us are over there pushing for that and working to build up subscribers and get Today's News Talk back to its former 24/7 glory. So you can find us over there.
Yeah, so probably really good radio there. Of course, we know you guys are incredibly strong in the radio format as well. So it's going to be great listening, downloadable, no doubt, on the podcasting apps as well. So helps you keep you company while you're painting the house, doing hard work wherever you are. The Pulse.today with Bryan McClain, also known as Hesher. So guys, yeah, and on your other programs, just give a shout out while we're doing the rounds here. I'll bring the Boiler Room up on screen. Next Boiler Room broadcast on Alternate Current Radio, Hesher.
Thursday night, we'll be doing one Thursday night. We had one last Thursday night. We had Mark Anderson, we had Pharaoh, we had Ruckus, and we talked about a lot of these things. Had a really interesting conversation, and looking forward to next week. So it's usually Thursday night. The April 15th episode is going to be pushed to either Wednesday or Friday. So there's going to be a 14th or a 16th episode probably a week after next. But other than that, yeah, Thursday nights, find us alternatecurrentradio.com for the archives, for the audio and the video, all that good stuff. And we'll see you there.
How long have you been doing that, Hesher, out of curiosity?
A decade. We've been doing Boiler Room for a decade. We had our decade anniversary on April 1st. So just 6 days ago, we hit the 10-year anniversary of that very first episode that Patrick Henningsen, myself, Lovely Spore, and Basil Valentine did. Episode 1 was 10 years ago this month.
Wow, that'll be interesting to go back and listen to that one day. If I get the nerve up, I get nervous when I go back in the archives.
I do too. I'm afraid my biggest fear going back into the archives is that I'm gonna want to get in there and re-edit it. You know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna hear it and I'm gonna cringe and I'm gonna be like, oh, that but I'm gonna do my best to leave them alone. I am kind of going through those old archives and slowly rebuilding them because we had a Spreaker apocalypse a while back and a copyright apocalypse that made us have to, clean a bunch of the slate in order to stay in compliance with our platforms. So that's one thing I've been working, trying to get AI to help me with. I've been using the AI to help me sort of like generate transcripts and find places that have music that need to be cut out so that I can re-upload it. It's quite handy in that regard, very utilitarian. So I'm kind of guinea pigging like how far we can go with AI to help do click intensive sort of projects like that, because this is going to be a millions of clicks project.
Yeah. And Ruckus, the Daily Ruckus, where can people find you? We'll bring this up
over there at Alternate Current Radio, of course, is probably the best spot. Otherwise, you'd have to search for it everywhere. And you can find the audio version on all your podcast places, including Spotify. That's right, I'm still on Spotify. But if you want to check out the full experience now in Ruckus Vision, you must go to the website, alternatecurrentradio.com, where you'll easily find the embedded video right there. Otherwise, you'd have to hunt for it on Rumble or find me on X at AC_Wordslinger. And I've taken the different route. I'm going to have to one day, probably in the year 2030, I'm guessing about 5 years from now, I'm going to have to re-edit, remove all of my old stuff because I've taken a different approach and I just throw everything in there. I don't care if it's copyrighted or not. I'm having fun. I'm telling the truth, reading from other people's sources and articles, mixing it all together. At some point, at any point, somebody could just pull the rug out from me and say, hey, you played a 30-second clip from Family Guy as a joke. You need to take it down. There goes your 4-hour video with all that awesome information just for that 30-second Family Guy clip. I'm taking the risk, I know, but it's a good time. So if you enjoy that
Fair
kind of
use.
thing, definitely
Good
check it
fair
out.
use doctrine.
Yeah.
As long as you give commentary on it and to analyze the context of it, that's all good. Can you give us a Ruckus Vision sample? Are you able to
I don't have one up
show
on
off
me.
the magical powers?
Oh,
of
I know
Ruckus
what you mean. Yes, I can actually show me inside of a thing here. Let's see, right
Yeah,
here.
take us into your
Let me
matrix.
get rid of
Take us
this.
to your
Get
matrix.
rid of this.
Wow, look at
There
that.
I am. Now I'm inside
Wow.
Ruckus Vision.
Look at this.
Woo-hoo. Pretty cool,
Look
huh?
at this. Amazing. It's
And
like
then I have
Max.
another one too. Hold on, this one. There I am. I also got this one too. So this is my new
like
Ruckus Vision that I'm
That's kind of a
experimenting
ham
with.
radio, isn't it? Or
Yeah.
it's kind of a
Yeah, steampunky
pretty-
thing, and it actually, if you look on the label there, it says Diesel Punk on the state on the little slate there. But I'm thinking of maybe hopefully changing that so it says Daily Ruckus or something cool like that. But we'll see.
Yeah,
But I'm
like
having
it.
a good time. So yeah, if you want to see all the fun stuff, you got to make sure you check it out in Ruckus Vision for sure.
Yeah, Ruckus Vision is very fly. I like it.
I see those Russian manufactured vacuum tubes on your device there, man. Looking good.
Sanctions busting.
Yeah,
Can't
gonna
get
get
those
caught.
anymore. Those are like Russian ammunition. We just can't get those anymore.
Scott Bessett's going to find out, and then you're going to be really in for it there. The OFAC is getting his steampunk ham radio parts from Russia, from Putin. Terrible.
Oh, but there is a new episode since the last time I was on Sunday Wire. It's a 4-hour-long epic episode diving into technocracy. I make 5 specific predictions in this particular episode called 12 Bummers Coming, traipsing into technocracy. And I lay out a scenario in the future, hopefully the distant future, but possibly the near future, where we have far less humans due to either a mass die-off or population collapse, which we're experiencing now due to low fertility rates, which just blows the doors wide open for all sorts of technocratic fun stuff, including AI replacing all of us as workers. We've got the digital ID is going to be necessary to receive our sweet digital cash, UBI. And of course, we got to surveil everybody with those nice drones that we were discussing earlier. So all of that is discussed in that episode. It's a good time, but it is 4 hours. So make sure you set aside enough time to enjoy that one.
Speaking of the technocracy, as we're talking about tariffs, I just have to say this. If you want to rebuild U.S. manufacturing, wages are way too high. Cost of living in America is way too high. How are you ever going to be competitive for an export market? Just first thing. They might be able to get, some business internally, but the real growth, obviously, that makes business worthwhile is export. But with U.S. wages so high, inflation so high, because of all the things that we talked about before, how are they going to pull that off unless you don't have as many people working?
Time to warp speed in the automation. Yeah.
Well, who's the man for that? Isn't Elon sort of taking the lead on robots?
Yeah.
And automation? Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So what are you going to do with all these unemployed Americans? UBI, universal basic income?
Yeah, I could see a setup where society is sort of bifurcated, right? You've got your sort of elite class, your technocrat class, and then you've got your worker class, and the economy slowly shifts over the next however many years, depending on what kind of warp factor we're looking at here. Could happen any day, could be a decade away, hard to say. It could take time to get there, but you end up with a situation like that Matt Damon movie, right, where the plebs are all sort of just these dirt dwelling like technocratic serfs that spend all their time in VR, but when they got to go to work, they go to work in the robot factory, right? Think like a car factory, except they're spitting out Atlas robots and this kind of thing, which are, by the way, the new military and the new police. So you've got your your technocrat elite habitat, in low Earth orbit or something like that. And the people on the planet are basically, it's like it turns into prison planet. The people are making in the factory their very own oppressors in robotic format. This could easily go that way.
Yeah, yeah. So that like the robots become the new cars in terms of, the proliferation of this item that is needed everywhere and exists everywhere, and everybody is paid to repair them, or all these businesses and maintenance and parts and
Well,
stuff like
Hyundai purchased Boston Dynamics some years ago. We covered this on Boiler Room, and that was my immediate thought was, oh crap. That is the fact. Like, just think of it like a car factory, except they're building these robots, all different kinds. They're advertising a new one today, one of those spot style ones that a human can ride. Okay, so if you ever
I
wanted
saw a horse.
you ever wanted to ride a transformer, similar to a horse, we're getting there. You can almost do that. They've got manned drones now. Drones that people can will be able to fly inside of. That they function just like a normal a drone that you could, like a DJI drone that any of us could go buy. Well, except for you guys in Canada. Sorry about that.
How much you want to bet it'll look like a UFO too?
It kind of does, man. It kind of does. But Hyundai purchased Boston Dynamics. Boston Dynamics was the one that had all the original robots that we saw when we first started Boiler Room in 2015. 2015. I don't know how many episodes it was in, but it wasn't very far into the arc of the whole journey where we started looking at Boston Dynamics and their products. They're the ones that made the first dog. They're the ones that made the first Atlas style humanoid robot. And now we've got Hyundai, we've got Donald Trump telling us, oh, this is wonderful. Hyundai is going to invest $500 billion in the United States. Okay. They're going to be putting factories here. Okay. Their cars have gotten very nice and very popular over the last 20 years. They sell out all over the place. So Hyundai, Toyota, they've both been here manufacturing things without, those tariffs. Like, that's already been going on here, but now they're coming in, they're bringing in a ton of corporate money. So you've got Apple coming in with 500 billion. You've got Larry Ellison and his shady Star Chamber crew with their 500 billion. You've got Hyundai coming in with 500 billion. What's the common thread with all these people? All technocrats, all manufacturers, all already here grifting and making boatloads of money outside. Like, if we really were to take the voodoo calculus of, simple voodoo calculus of these tariffs out and start really looking at the tax incentives and the other things that companies like this have been getting here for many, many years now. And then now this giant boon to them. It's like, at what point does that help us $20 tuna sandwich eaters? By the way, thank you for that term. I've been using it like wildfire on the pulse.
It's a terrible term.
It's so descriptive, though, because our friend Sumo over at Mystical American Patriot Society, he's the one that, put sandwich eater in my head. It's sort of like the new version of pleb for me. It makes more sense, just a normal sandwich eating American. So now I've taken you guys' two terms, put them together, and you're a $20 tuna sandwich enjoyer. But it's like, how does all this stuff help us? Is it only going to help Hyundai and these giant multinational companies? It gives them an opportunity to sort of release them from some of the tariffs that they're already working under, so that they can be here doing who knows what. One of these companies now owns the patents for all these freaking robots. So where are you going to make those? Where's the $500 billion going? Are we going to live in Matt Damon's dystopia? I can't remember the name of that film. Somebody's probably said it in the chat by now. But the robotics thing is huge, and they will be making them in car style factories. Elon Musk is doing it right here in Texas right now. Kim Kardashian has a robotic Tesla made, bringing her tea or her vodka or whatever, and her daily Botox. I mean, it certainly isn't making her a $20 tuna sandwich, that's for sure. So yeah, exactly. And now, on top of that, since we're getting into the technocracy here, last week on X, Elon Musk said they put a post up and they're openly advertising for quadriplegics to come in and sign up for Neuralink. So they had their first guy, right? We're 1 year into the first human test, and they're parading this guy around right now, and he's talking about, you know, how well it's worked out for him, how he can control his mouse now with his head, and how he can play, you know, chess. And even better than that, he gets like, you know, big ticket speaking events where he goes around and makes a lot of money talking about this stuff. But they're open advertising for a clinical trial of Neuralink. They're trying to get, you know, every quadriplegic in the world to sign up right now. So, you know, there's the Neuralink factor, which comes with it as well. So, you know, all these things, and these are the things that Davos has had on the top of the top 7 points of their talking list for the last like 10 years almost, has been like AI, nanotech, robotics, like all these things. And the United States in the 2018 NDAA even created an entire agency full of technocrat CEOs. I think the former CEO of Google's in there. Larry Ellison's probably in there. You've got former security intel people in there, politicians in there, and the whole mission statement of this thing is to make sure that the United States, it wins the technology battle, or is, you know, up to date with the technology battle between China as pertains to nanotech, biotech, robotics, artificial intelligence, and that kind of stuff. And I think that that's what this is all about. This is all about the next big paradigm shift where all of a sudden, because we have ubiquitous computing now, it's here. It's been here for a while. We haven't really stopped and thought about it much, maybe as a society, but we have ubiquitous computing now. It's basically disembodied voices and images and answers to questions. You know, you can literally talk to just about any piece of software, any piece of hardware now, and interact with it. And that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then there's the physical manifestation of it, which is going to be the Boston Dynamics rollout, the Tesla rollout of their robotics. And those are melding with AI as we speak. And then there's the Neuralink, and what's going to push people into the Neuralink, we don't know yet. That's a gift that we still have to look forward to, but there will be a problem reaction solution that will make it be like, oh, well, we've tested the Neuralink on all the quadriplegics and they're all just fine. So, you know, if your digital ID is not working and your bank account got wiped out in the switch over to UBI, well, maybe if you get the Neuralink, you won't have to worry about, you know, digital ID anymore. You'll be able to walk through TSA, no problem. They'll give you this list of benefits, right? You'll
Time savers.
Yeah.
More convenient. That's
Free
what we need. We
lifetime
need more
membership
convenient time saving things.
Right. If you get a free lifetime membership to Pornhub, free doobies. Remember, they gave people all this stuff, free lap
Krispy
dances.
Kreme?
They give people this stuff for COVID.
Oh, the COVID, yeah. So this is the future. So Elon has got it all figured out, guys. We should all get behind Elon, and whatever he says is really going to be good for us as a society, as the human race, in fact. So it's nothing I can't be more excited about, folks, than Elon's vision of the future. So he's updated his Mars timetable, guys, and he says that, yeah, we'll definitely be on Mars by 2030. You know, if we work really hard, and 2030, maybe 2020, 29, if we're really quick, and then we're gonna have a colony by then. A colony. What do you think? Colony by 2030? What do you guys think? What are the odds?
I was noticing that picture of him jumping up on the stage. I've seen that 100 times now, but this was the first time I'm looking at his feet. Tell me he's not doing the thing with his feet that the Freemasons do. I'm tripping out here, bro. That's exactly how they stand when they're trying to symbolize to their fellow Freemasons that they're one of their brethren. I'm not making this up. That's crazy.
He could be a Mason. He could be a Mason.
I think,
Definitely.
well, let's not forget that his grandfather was part of a group called Technocracy Inc. Weird. Just coincidence, I'm sure. Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, it's in his blood. So
by the way, I wanted to touch upon the Neuralink thing because I think a lot of people miss this. In case you guys missed this, you're gonna have to, I can't remember which major outlet it was. It was somebody like the Wall Street Journal or New York Times, one of these big rags, right? they interviewed this guy, and apparently he got emotional during the interview, describing a moment when he was convinced by the team that they were going to have to they were going to take away his Neuralink because it wasn't functioning right or something. I forget what it was. They had no choice, but they were going to remove it, or they were going to rip it out of his head, and he was no longer going to have these magical powers that he's been enjoying or whatever it is that's helping him. And it like just the separation, the idea of him not having it anymore was like scarring to him. He described it to like basically he wanted to sue the company for like emotional damages just because they told him there was a chance they might have to take it away from him. And I remember there was an incident not that long ago where like I don't remember what I used to play video games. That's what it was. And it was the PlayStation Network. And I used to play video games all the time. Every day it was my thing, my socializing. I would meet my friends. One of them actually eventually became my co-host on my very first podcast back in the day. Shout out to Malevolent Monster, wherever that guy is. But I used to play video games with him and my friends. And there was a 30-day period where the PlayStation Network was down. You could not go online and play video games. And that with the withdrawal effect of not being able to do what I was used to with just this technology. And then I've heard all the people in their studies, like when their internet goes down, like right now, if you lose cell service or you're not connected. The other day I was out of power and I couldn't even go online and my phone was turned off and I felt really cut off from the world. And I'm like, this is where we're moving with all this technology and with the Neuralink and stuff. I mean, so imagine if you're in a situation where they give it to you, now they don't even have to like do anything but threaten to take it away from you, and you're just going to play along. You're going to do everything that they say. You know what I mean? They don't have to flip a kill switch. They just say, okay, well, that's fine. You don't get a Neuralink chip anymore. No, don't take away my chip. Please don't. Just thought I would share that.
Performance enhancer, like it'll stimulate your brain so your muscles fire a few hundreds of a second faster, so you can actually run that 4-minute mile with your Neuralink implant, and is it enjoying all these performance enhanced sort of features and benefits and stuff like that. So this is just not. I don't like the way this is heading. Where's the demand for this? I mean, who's demanding this besides Ray Kurzweil and a couple of these other? So only the billionaires want this stuff.
Right. No one was demanding a computer that fits in your pocket. I mean, it sounded cool, right? Like when the concept hit in sort of the later 90s. I mean, I was doing a bachelor's and a master's in tech at the time, and it was like I was very, very cool factor with all that, right? Like I was on those same gaming networks. When the very first GPS system came out that you could put in your car, guess what, kids? It wasn't on a smartphone. It was on something we called a Palm Pilot. It was basically a not very smart smartphone with no cellular chips in it. If you can imagine such a device, running like 240 by 480 res, if that, probably less than that. And it had this creepy little dot that would go along a line, and you'd drive around and be like, wow, it knows kind of where I'm at. Well, it glitched out for 5 minutes there, but it says I'm 2 miles back from where I am, but that's okay. And now, but nobody, it wasn't like the larger part of the public. Someone like me was interested in that and would invest in that and, hope for its future to be something cool. But smartphones come along, and it's like, when did they take off? They really took off when the internet got to the point where it had free porn. Okay. I mean, that's when a bunch of people wanted that stuff in their pocket. And I think that it's going to be the same way with the next paradigm shift to include VR, robotics, AI, all those things that we just mentioned. They're already working on the porn aspect for all of that. Like the whole reason we have the internet largely is because of porn. Pornography makes up like 60% of the income of the entire internet. So I think that there's a cheat code. Speaking of gamers, technocrats, they know the cheat code, and the cheat codes are all in our human psychology. And it's like once they can infest an area with pornography, all of a sudden the money starts coming in, the investments start coming in, and all their side hustles start to flourish. And then anybody that's got, long-term plans built around this, they're off to the races. And that's where we're at right now. They've crossed the finish line of Agenda 2020 to include almost all of it, which we thought wasn't going to happen until March of 2020, right? I have a side note on March of 2020, but all of a sudden it's like, boom, we had global government. We had international propaganda campaigns that removed liberty and changed the economy completely. the pandemic industrial complex rolled out, and all of a sudden, like, you look back at Rosa Corey's book, Behind the Green Mask, and it's like, wow, they did it. I didn't think they were going to make it over the finish line in 2019, and then March happened. They COVID grifted us, and then they checked the remaining boxes, and now they're totally rearranging the media. They're totally rearranging the geopolitical, the money,
politics,
yep,
the economy, everything, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. I mean, the thing that when the iPhone came out in 2008 or whatever, I can't remember what year it was, but when the iPhone came out, then the people started designing apps. And so the apps is what really drove it, hypercharged the smartphone utilities and stuff like that. It's going to be the same with the robotics. It's going to be a software, some kind of plug and play, or some sort of software feature. It might be apps based, probably going to be phone based for control and everything like that initially, but it might even go beyond that, to the next phase, whatever that is, after the smartphone, if such a thing exists. So
it'll be the voice-based interaction, and that's what's people are really getting right now with the AI, because they've upgraded Siri and Copilot and all these things to the point where if you have an iPhone now and it's updated, you literally just touch the bottom of it and then you can talk to it. It's like you don't don't even have to tell it to open an app. Like, the apps are all going to become sort of like URLs. They won't be something we think about anymore. It's just something that kind of exists in the background that drives it. So, it's that sort of AI ubiquity. Like, we're at computing ubiquity now. AI ubiquity is what's coming next, and it's going to come a lot faster than computing ubiquity did, just because of that technology curve that, is the exponential growth of it once you achieve it.
don't worry, you guys.
Microsoft just turned 50, like the other day, like yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Can you believe Microsoft has been with us for 50 years? So that, what does that tell you? Look where they're at now.
Get a GIF of Bill Gates dancing on stage. I feel like completely unprepared for this announcement, Ruckus. I mean, it's Bill Gates, Microsoft. I mean, what a great moment. I mean, they've done such good things in the world. They've caused a lot of suicides too with their operating system and all the viruses.
Well,
and
don't tell all of that to the
antiviruses.
protesters who are upset about their association with Israel currently. So, which
Microsoft
did disrupt the festivities. Apparently, that's what I heard in the news.
Really?
How dare they?
I think I saw something like that. Yeah, so that was a bit of a damper, wasn't it? On the mic, it couldn't have happened to a better company, as far as I'm concerned. They are the train wreck of tech, really. Microsoft. I mean, the world could have done. We could have just skipped that whole period in tech history, and I would have been happy to be, cooking over an open fire in a cave while Bill Gates was dominating until better tech came out after that. But it caused so much pain and suffering for people. Microsoft, really, it was torture, wasn't it?
I've lost so many hours out of my lifespan to Microsoft. I can't tell you, especially in my previous career where I was managing more than 50 laptops and multiple banks of servers in multiple locations. I can't even and having to run cybersecurity on those things. Like, that is so. I mean, at least I was on the payroll. At least I was being paid for. I was doing my good surf duty and being paid for my time. But that was a salary gig for me, and I would work weekends and nights, and it was bananas. And then you have to do all that stuff at home too. You still got your $2,000 gateway computer or something like that, and you still have to go home and learn about drivers and ACLs and all this kind of garbage. And this is something that, like, young people now don't really I don't know if they could even possibly comprehend or appreciate, like, how much time used to go into being someone that used technology. Like, you were in the minority of the human population, and we're talking just 20 years ago here, and now most people don't have to mess around with stuff like that. I mean, people gravitate towards it, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of fellow nerds out there, and you crypto people know what I'm talking about. But I mean, if you want to be addicted to the internet and exist in the digital space as a young person or whoever now, you can just do that. You just go there and it all just works. which is wonderful. But I am a little bitter about all the time I spent, being part of the brain conglomerate that got it to that point.
Well, let's celebrate this 50-year anniversary. Of a treat for you guys. Microsoft's 50th anniversary. What better way to celebrate than to see Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, and some other Silicon Valley mogul dancing, shaking their booty on stage here. Let's see if we can bring this up. And we apologize for any trauma this might cause any of our viewers, but sometimes these things just have to be done. So here is Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer at the Windows 95 launch here. It's probably at, where was it? Comdex, I think it used to be called Comdex in Las Vegas, probably. But let me see. Can you guys see this up on? Yeah, we can see this on stage. So let's just check this out. Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer. I mean, these guys were so cool back in the day, weren't they? The lords, the original tech lords. Here we go.
Dorks. You might want to mute that, dude.
We're gonna get
We're getting in trouble.
Oh, we're gonna get a copyright for that.
Stones may come after you. Can we also watch Bill Gates gets pie in the face? I mean, if we had to watch that, we should probably see Bill Gates getting pied.
Yeah, I'll find that as well.
That right there, folks, that right there is the nexus and origin of what you see now. That behavior from grown ass middle-aged men on a stage. That is why you see Elon Musk jumping up and kicking his little pointy toes out, like Ruckus astutely pointed out. That is why even you in your little corporate meetings right now, when you log into your Zoom, some dumb from your company is going to come out and do that kind of thing. They're going to have intro music and they're going to be all pumped up and yeah, that's great. I guess we're working the human psychology there again too. But I mean, does it not feel like a high school pep rally? Like those are the guys that are going to create this, that have created this situation we're in right now, or at least large portions of it, and will be in charge of our digital lives moving forward. So, you want to be pandered to, you want to be condescended to. Those are your guys right there. Those aren't rock stars.
And this is when everything took a dark turn for the world. And this is after this event, Bill Gates vowed to basically destroy humanity. So whoever did this, I mean, it was just great that they did it, but I think it sent Bill on a path of vengeance. And
they radicalized Bill Gates. So no.
He says radicalized Bill Gates and turned him into the terrorist that we all knew him to be come 2020 with COVID. But here it is.
The target was Microsoft Chairman Bill Gates arriving for a meeting with community leaders. Watch what happens when a team of hitmen meet him first with a pie in the face. Gates was momentarily and understandably shaken, but he was not injured. The hit squad piled on with two more pies before one of them was wrestled to the ground and arrested. The others for at least a moment got away. Gates went inside, wiped his face clean, and made no comment. He then went ahead with his scheduled meeting. No word on the motive for this attack.
That could have been a Saturday Night Live skit. Honestly, it was just the way the hitmen. Dan Rather was so dead serious on that as well.
Oh, the deadpan Dan Rather on the pie throwing hitmen. It's hilarious.
That was just too much. I mean, great.
Gates took it like a true nerd. He's like, yeah, this happens to me all the time. Like this is normal.
Another pie. Oh my God, here we go. I'm going into it.
That was nothing. You should have been at Diddy's party last week.
Oh yeah, and some of them weren't they? Well, if Bill wasn't with Diddy, he was with Jeff down in Little St. James. They were quite close, weren't they? In fact, that might have been the source of his divorce. That was an expensive friendship, wasn't it? Being buddies with Bill Gates cost him what? About $500 million? Something like that. Expensive. expensive bro. Be the bro of Jeff. Cost you 500 large, extra large. Wow, that's really something. Yeah, so yeah, the Steve Ballmer thing. I should have muted that because YouTube might go a little bit funny. Even though it was only a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it was a few seconds. You might be able to do something to it in the post, though. Maybe you can volume down
Sometimes
on that section.
they give you the option to self-emulate that section through editing. So it might get cut out. So if anybody saw that cut there, that was basically Bill Gates looking really weird on stage. I might bring him up just for background imagery.
You should B-roll that thing with the mute on just in case it does have to get cut out.
Didn't he do like this stupid human trick thing too, where he stomped a bunch of cans? And then also he jumped over a chair. I remember him jumping over a desk chair. He's known for all sorts of stupid things like this.
No, those are crafty corporate stunts to excite shareholders. This is what Elon does as well. I call it corporate energy. It's corporate energy. That's what it is. So that's how you get the shareholders excited about the IPOs. The new Windows 95. I mean, that was something to be excited about, wasn't it? Windows 95, the new launch. Remember, groundbreaking moment.
It actually was, in a sense, for us computer users back in those days. It was like, it changed. It did change everything. But again, you go back a little bit further, and it's like, well, where did the ability to create all this tech come from in the first place? All these companies have a very similar story to Facebook, where they have dodgy beginnings, dodgy people, really sketchy business interactions. Some people get burned, and then a narrative is crafted around that story, which can be made into Hollywood movies and stuff and all that stuff, So Bill Gates and Microsoft, very much the same. Some interesting rabbit holes one can go down if they want to look at the origins of Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, IBM. I mean, it's for another time, but it's an interesting story, and it really kind of gives you a different perspective on this whole idea that these people all started in garages with no help and no government involvement, because that's generally speaking not the case.
Yeah, well, I think the Apple guys started off basically on their jacks. Steve Wozniak, who was the partner, the original founder of Apple. I forgot his name. Steve Wozniak, and they were both from Sunnyvale, so I knew because it was I lived right around the corner from
Steve
them.
Jobs, you mean?
No, it was before Jobs.
Before Jobs came in, yeah. Another guy, I can't remember his name either.
Yeah, we used to have Apple IIes, Apple II, Apple IIe, Apple IIc, and when the Amber screen came out, that was a big moment to go from green dot matrix to Amber.
Yeah,
that was huge. Yes, I remember. I used to do.
It's interesting because the Windows 95 obviously came out in 1995, but at that time I still had to rely on my TI-85 Texas Instruments graphing calculator to do any actual real computer work. Again, with a portable device that looks nothing like anything we have today. But but the computers, it was just like, what did people use it for? Oh, they played solitaire or Minesweeper, right? When you said that you wasted so much time on Windows, that's where my mind went immediately, Hesher, and then I realized you were into IT stuff, and I was like, oh, yeah. But a lot of people just wasted time just playing games for the first time ever on a computer in their office or at home when they should have been working, and now they play Candy Crush on their smartphones, right?
Yeah, we should do our own games. We could add some basic coding to do basic sort of rudimentary Pong style games back in the day. So yeah, that was actually required in junior high school. That's why we had such great programmers in the 80s and 90s, because they forced us to learn in the 70s. So even in elementary and junior high. So yeah, that was back when America had somewhat a semblance of an education system. I don't know about today, but it's a different ball game.
Well, now they do something called, this is true, by the way, in case you guys haven't heard of this, my mind is blown. There's a whole segment of the population now who makes a living doing something called vibe coding. Have you heard of this?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, okay. They literally just talk to an AI and coax it and give it just the right enough prompts to help to make the AI create computer code, create websites, create apps, create programs, and you just go with the flow, man. These are not coders; they know nothing about code. They're just talking to an AI until they get the program that they want. It's crazy, and it's called vibe coding.
I hate to say it, guys, but that's the future. Sadly, is take one good last look at Bill, because we're gonna basically flush this one down the memory hole in a moment. But there he is, Ballmer. I mean,
this was the real Revenge of the Nerds.
The real moment, wasn't it?
The beloved film Revenge of the Nerds. It didn't really work out the way it did for Booger and the guys in Revenge of the Nerds. That's the actual Revenge of the Nerds. You might have thought it was silly when you saw it back then, if you were around, but now that's the norm. That is the norm. You are the media. You are awesome. We jump around.
That's right.
We set the policies now.
Yes, we have 13 children with 5 baby mamas, and yes, we are the media. You are the media. I am the media, says Elon. Who's the media? An Artful Dodger has joined us. Artful Dodger into the room. Basil Valentine, political editor of the Pulse.today. Thank you for joining us on the Sunday Wire this week, Basil.
Great to be with you, Patrick, and hello to everyone all around the world, and hello to you guys in the studios.
I want to get your reaction, because we were wondering what you thought about Trump's Netanyahu-esque kabuki theater with the graphics, the foam core boards, doing visual aids. This is the Tariff, the whole Tariff farrago. You have any thoughts on this leading story this week, Basil?
Liberation Day, he
That's
called
right.
it, didn't he? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's caused the markets to go into meltdown. Even Keir Starmer said the world has changed. You know, he's completely ripped up the rule book, and it may well lead to global recession. I don't know. It all seems to have been done with enormous haste and very little forethought. I caught Hesher saying in the first hour, you know, that supposedly this is to bring all these jobs back to the United States, but that's not going to happen overnight. I mean, America destroyed its manufacturing base over the course of 30 years, from the sort of mid 1960s through to the end of the century, and you don't rebuild it just by sticking 20% surcharges on everybody else's goods. The dollar is overvalued still because it's the reserve currency. So if America wants to export more, it's got to lower the value of the dollar. It's as simple as that. Then their exports seem cheaper. The case for protectionism, incidentally, which is what this is, was always made traditionally by the left as a means of, you know, defending jobs. It's never really been a policy of right of centre governments, because free trade has always been held up as the you know, the blue ribbon, the, you know, what everyone must abide by. So I think this is going to backfire on him. I don't know whether you've mentioned the hands-off protests all around the states yesterday, which would be widely reported on social media, not so much in legacy media, of course. You know, hands-off Social Security, hands-off immigrants, you know, hands-off whatever you like. Basically, a big anti-Trump show of, you know, public opinion, which stretched as far as Utah and Montana, not traditionally places where you see people out protesting against anything. So that, I think the pushback against MAGA has started. The honeymoon is well and truly over for Trump and Musk and the rest of the gang. And it wouldn't surprise me if support for Trump, which obviously was riding high in the first few months of this year, didn't start to crater quite drastically, particularly if there's a recession.
The hands-off thing they're missing, typical with the left, right? They miss the most important. They miss the open goal. They usually do. It's hands off my First Amendment. Hello. And,
yes.
and this they're, you know, attacking legal residents for criticizing the state of Israel, not even criticizing the U.S. government, criticizing a foreign government, Israel, criticizing or calling out or asking for the end of this slaughter in Gaza will get you deported, even if you're a green card holder or a resident or married with a green card to a citizen. They're deporting people for this. So this is a direct attack on the First Amendment. Back in the day, guys, I'm old enough to remember when the Democrats and the American Civil Liberties Union used to defend people's free speech and go to the wall for the First Amendment. Not anymore. Like, what's going on?
Very good point. There was a separate anti-genocide demonstration and rally in Washington, D.C. But you're right, that wasn't in any way allied to the hands-off movement.
That's the one. This is what I'm talking about, is that if people can pick issues that everybody can go on board with, like free speech, it's kind of obvious. And they're not doing it. And that's just, to me, is like so typical, completely missing the main one. Like if they really don't like Trump, why not go for the low hanging fruit, like on that, and get libertarians on, get Dave Smith on board, and, get Rogan on board with it. That's the kind of thing.
I was watching coverage of this, and I was quite alarmed that the media is famous for doing this, but it didn't matter who was covering it. It seemed that everybody participating in the protests were all there for completely different reasons. Here's an unhinged guy who just says, he's a criminal. And like all these, like, what the heck? I'm sure there's got to be somebody in this crowd who has a legitimate concern about the current administration. No, they're like, well, reproductive rights. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, they've got everybody so worked up, and the comments. That's what I was most disturbed about, was people who were watching this on YouTube and Rumble and on X making all these nasty comments. You could tell they were all MAGA. They're like, who's paying these people? Who's paying? Protesters, Soros, he paid them all out. And I'm like, we can't even have a real protest anymore. Look what they did. They broke the entire protest process with their fake baloney BLM, all this garbage protest we've been seeing leading up to this. Now you have a genuine concern with the administration. You go out to protest, the giant assumption, he's just a crazy left-heart. He must be getting paid by somebody to be there. You can't even have protests anymore. Yeah,
I got accused of being USAID funded by a conservative activist because I was criticizing.
We all know you get paid by Russia. What are you talking about?
No, I was targeted by USAID funded Ukrainian hit list websites. So this conservative activist was pursuing me on Twitter, accusing me of being USAID funded because I was going after Elon for one of many things that's quite easy to go after Elon for, annoying things. But I thought that was funny. So, and this is the other thing no one's picking at, guys. This is literally Technocracy Inc. coming in very, very openly with this administration, and nobody on the left seems to have a clue about it. I mean, this is like way above their head or something, or what is it? Are they just not au fait with this issue yet? How can they not see that the tech bros have moved in to the White House?
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Patrick. I think that's what dark MAGA actually represents. Like, this image is I don't know if it's AI driven or where it came from, but this is an appropriate image for, I think, what dark MAGA actually means, because the red MAGA is sort of basking in the red light, right? That's sort of for the those that just wanted to see a win and wanted to see the left lose, which of course we all enjoy, but you got to look deeper than that. And I think the dark MAGA is exactly what we are looking at here and talking about today on this show. So as Elon pointed out, it's easy to fall asleep in the red light. Well, dark MAGA works in the background while you're sleeping in the red light, perhaps.
Yeah, you're right. And that's another thing, guys. That's like if the left had if the left with a brain, they'd see, well, look, this technocracy thing, it's not going to be good for employment. It's not really going to be good for us, really. And that's a good one. We could get a coalition together and sort of work on these issues that are like in everybody's interest. Why does it have to be so polarized? There's plenty of issues that everybody, like the First Amendment, like opposing the technocracy, like opposing monopolies by some of these tech companies that are only interested in one thing, is a monopoly. No competition, take the whole thing over, and you pay rent to them every month for something. Like, why if the left grows a brain, we might actually have a chance to push some of this stuff back. But as it stands, this is not a good time right now politically. I'm I'm seeing a lot of potential problems coming over the horizon where there's going to be no opposition to it, and that's hugely worrying. And I think,
well, yeah, you're right. I mean, politics is fundamentally broken on both sides of the Atlantic. You know, politicians have become increasingly self-serving, increasingly, as we all know, owned by the Zionist lobby, by defense contractors, the revolving door between high office and various government quangos in this country, or the boards of major companies. It's a political class that's completely divorced from the aspirations of ordinary working people, which is why in the UK you're seeing some insurgent political parties, starting to make waves. We've got 15 candidates for the upcoming election in Runcorn. The United States, of course, it's impossible for any insurgent party to make any headway because the corporate media and the two predominant parties have a complete stranglehold on everybody's perception of what politics is and what left and right are. You know, people talk about the Democrats as being the left. They're not left at all in any meaningful sense, as far as I'm concerned. They're not interested in nationalization or anything like that, or any meaningful redistribution of wealth. They're the two arms of the same corporate imperialist machine, just with very slightly different nuances. The left these days in America seems to be defined essentially as woke. Well, the Workers' Party of Britain in the UK, which is a genuine left-wing party, has nothing whatsoever to do with woke. It explicitly rejects, that whole agenda and identity politics, which is the opposite of the tradition of the Labour movement, which is it doesn't matter what your race, ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation is. We are all engaged in the same struggle. So, politics is broken, but also people's perception and understanding of politics is broken because they're presented with two things that they're supposed to believe are or opposing in some meaningful way, but as we've seen on all the important things like genocide in the United States, there's barely a cigarette paper between the two parties.
you sent me this story before the program here, Basil. If you tell us, BBC here is reporting 2 MPs astounded after being denied entry into the state of Israel there. And so tell us what's going on here. Is obviously 2 members of the House of Commons. What was this all about?
Well, the 2 MPs had been invited by a charity, 2 Labour MPs, to investigate, shall we say, to have a look at what's going on in Israel at the moment. But they were turned back at the border. They didn't get into the country at all, and have since been deported. These 2 MPs are Yuan Yang and Abitsam Mohammed, and the Israelis accused them of planning to spread anti-Israel hatred. Well, of course, all you need to do in the Israelis' eyes to spread anti-Israel hatred is to tell the truth, to report exactly what you see, and it's automatically anti-Israel. So really unprecedented that, of course, because Israel's our great ally, don't forget that. We've been supplying them with, intelligence from flights from the RAF base in Akrotiri over Gaza, enabling them to commit more atrocities. But that's not obviously good enough. The Israeli immigration ministry said the MPs were accompanied by 2 assistants, and during questioning, they claimed they were visiting Israel as part of an official parliamentary delegation, which indeed they were. But apparently, the Israelis say that no politicians or government officials were aware that they were coming. The Council for Arab-British Understanding contradicted the Israeli immigration officials, saying that they were part of a parliamentary delegation on a trip organized by them and medical aid for Palestinians. Well, as we know, the Israelis like to murder people representing medical aid for Palestinians. So I suppose the two MPs are quite lucky that they weren't simply shot on arrival. But this did produce a statement from David Lammy, the so-called foreign secretary. The usual euphemism was used, unacceptable was apparent, and this was reiterated by another minister on television this morning, that apparently it's unacceptable for the Israelis to refuse admission to British parliamentarians, and it certainly goes against all the established protocols and norms. But on the other hand, what's acceptable, of course, is zip tying medics with their hands behind the backs and executing them and then burying them in a mass grave along with their vehicle and claiming that you had nothing to do with it at all. That's acceptable. Genocide is acceptable in the eyes of the British government. In fact, we've been encouraging it, but we do draw the line at you not letting a couple of our MPs into the country. On the other hand, that awful Kemi Badenoch, my God, said she wasn't surprised at the MPs and that every country should be able to control its borders, and that's what Israel's doing. She said she was very concerned about the rhetoric on the Middle East from Labour MPs and independents. Unbelievable stuff.
So
Go on.
all channel comment at the bottom if anyone wants to take this. MAGA is one of the Antichrist soldiers. So saying MAGA is one of the four horses of the apocalypse, I assume. So this
There's
is
no such thing as the Antichrist. Do some research, people.
Yes,
There's tons of antichrists in the past, present, and future. But this concept of this, there's going to be one the Antichrist that's going to give you the mark of the beast. That's all, misinterpretation of the Bible. Go back to the Bible. Don't listen to the people telling you what the Bible says. Learn it for yourself. That's all I got to say.
AI is the Antichrist might be the more accurate statement there. I tend to agree.
I'll agree with that.
I would say giving.
Well, I would venture to suggest it's a sort of the Antichrist is an all-encompassing anti-human agenda.
Yes,
that's what the Antichrist is.
That's the big problem there. And that's why it gives MAGA too much credit to say that they're one of the four horsemen, because the best you can give them, I'll do my Pawn Star. The best I can do you is useful idiot, okay? Because these plans are coming from much higher up, as Basil just referenced. So unfortunately, I understand the sentiment, and I don't deny the zinginess of the comment. It's appreciated, but at the same time, this really goes way, way, way higher up and way longer back than simply MAGA or any current political movement for that matter.
Well, AI is the Antichrist, folks. So if so, who's going to be profiting off that? Well, there's another potential candidate here. A humanity's savior is going to deliver us from the evils of the earth, take us away to Mars to live in Dubai-style high-rises and vacuum tubes. Guys, I mean, that's slightly antichristy, isn't it?
Maybe you could live in Trump Tower, built on the bones of dead Palestinian women and children, perhaps, too. I mean, gilded gold Riviera. It's like a bad, enormous version of Poltergeist, right? Like they just built a suburban house on an Indian graveyard, and look what happened. What is this going to turn into? You're going to build a Trump Tower and an entire Riviera style smart city there, quite literally on the bones of hundreds of thousands of dead women and children, non-combatants, dead with our tax dollars internationally. I mean, it's asking for a mass poltergeist experience. It's unbelievable that they would even suggest it.
Here's ZP Zap. There is the spirit of the Antichrist, which has always been there. So then there's the Dajjal, which is the one-eyed man, said, quote, ... Freemason. Dajjal is the Islamic end times, I guess, Antichrist type character with the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. The one-eyed man is king. This is in Islamic eschatology. So this is reflecting the book of Revelations. They go into explicit detail about the propaganda that comes in during that time, which very much mirrors where we're at, and also the politics as well. Some interesting comments there. We seem to have sparked a bit of interest here. Won't find Dajjal in the Quran, only in the Bullock's Hadith. Okay, so there's a Robert Downey Jr., PFP, Albo Martinez resurrection. So little Islamic eschatological criticism, comparative.
If you want to look it up, its full name is Al-Masa ad-Dajjal. Good luck with that.
Which is actually a very interesting conversation.
Talk about a rabbit hole.
We should book in one of those. Here we go.
I've got a couple of other stories if you've got time, Patrick.
We have a few minutes, but fire away, Basil. Just before you do, how many medics and babies has Israel mass murdered today? And it's pretty sad that you can ask that question every day, and then there's an answer to it, and that there's zero care at all in Washington or London.
Well, the problem is that certainly in Washington, it wouldn't be quite the opposite of care. That, as you saw with Donald Trump and the Yemen tribal gathering, which was bombed. I mean, it was only just over 20 years ago that the United States was humiliated when footage emerged via WikiLeaks, of course, of the bombing of civilian gatherings in Iraq. Now you've got the President of the United States himself cheerleading for the bombing of civilians. So that's a real slide into moral degeneracy over the last 20 years or so. But while we're speaking of moral degeneracy, a couple of wonderful Zionists find themselves on rape charges. First of all, our own Russell Brand, he looks like he's going to have to be extradited from the United States to face charges of rape and sexual assault going back 20 years, I must admit. He has, of course, since found Christ and Rabbi Shmuley in the meantime, and now bases himself in the United States. And more recently, just yesterday, Dan Norris, another prominent member of Labour Friends of Israel, he's been arrested on suspicion of rape and child sex offences. So, just a coincidence, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, Russell Brand. So I guess he can't. I thought he was going to be the Messiah there. He had the whole look going. The beads.
Had that look going. I mean, if he's found guilty, he could get 15 or 20 years prison.
He should get Alan Dershowitz as his defense lawyer. Get some gloves, acquittals, and then he'll be loyal forever to the state.
He should have got himself a MAGA hat.
Yeah, he did. He performed at the MAGA rally. He did everything he was supposed to do. So they should, feel like they owe him to get him off the hook or to help out or something. Maybe Elon will crowdfund for his legal defense. Although
Dan Norris, of course, trained with the NSPCC, the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, and worked as a teacher and child protection officer. But police have now been seen taking away boxes of evidence from his house.
Yeah, there's some crazy stories with female teachers preying on their sort of 14, 15-year-old students. One of them got arrested that was crazy video. But, we say, oh, that's shocking. But that's exactly the story of Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. He was groomed from a young age, 14, 15. His teacher was Bridget, was 37. No, they said,
dude, she was like 30, almost 40.
40. Yeah.
Brigitte, whatever.
You mean he?
He, she. Yeah, that's 25 years, right?
Yeah.
It's robbing the cradle, as we used to say. But it's just a little bit bizarre. Candace believes that that's his father. He's married to his dad, who had a sex change. I mean, that's what Candace is saying, basically. That's pretty extreme. That is pretty warped.
I'm not sure about the dad bit. I think it's actually.
And by the way, we should probably qualify that. When we say she's saying that, she says it with a lot of evidence. There's like 5 or 6 50-minute long episodes in that arc where she makes that case. And if anything, if you find anything to be a logical leap, that's understandable. But It's important to look at the entire body of work there in that series, I think, before one can like truly claim she's just making this claim out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It's like she makes a good case for it, you know, much like
Oh yeah.
where we can't actually know the answer. Somebody is eventually going to make a really good case for it, and it's a case that could be her best point, and this applies to so many psychological operations that we've been exposed to. Her best point is you could easily prove me wrong by providing A, B, and C. And A, B, and C are things that everybody watching right now, all four of us, would be able to provide if someone asked for it. So it's like they don't provide A, B, and C. Then they hit you with lawfare and they hit you with character assassination. And all that does is bolster the credibility of the story, or at least the credibility of the questions that are being asked, because the person being asked the questions, who, by the way, is a world leader, you know, who, by the way, wants to continue the war in Ukraine, who, by the way, is another surrogate of Israel in many regards, you know. So it's not a small deal, and it's not just a wacky group of people making an unbased claim or asking questions that are out of line.
And Seattle here in the chat says, or his uncle. So Brigitte could be the uncle of Macron. So this is, this is very interesting. I have not watched. I saw the sort of abridged version of that first program. Didn't watch the whole thing. Probably, hopefully, at some point, I might get around to it. I'm kind of familiar with the story from Freddie. Had filled me in on this because there's all these French journalists have been, digging into this for years, actually. So Candace's done a good job aggregating that and interview them, getting the story
been
straight.
Like sued out there for pursuing this theory?
Yes.
Yeah,
multiple times, and the lawsuits. She brings all the lawsuits too. That's the interesting thing. She says that, you know, her work is based on some of these French journalists and authors. She's interacted with all of them. She's included them in the series, and at the same time, she's showing, you know, in real time the legal action that she's receiving on her end. You know, I mean, it's got to be a great feeling to have a team of lawyers and producers and be able to, you know, perform at that level and ask those questions in such a massive public forum. We got to keep in mind that Candace right now is almost as big as Joe Rogan. Like, she has over 4 million subscribers on her YouTube in just like 6 months or something like that, 8 months. I'm not sure how long it's been around since she left Daily Wire. And we all know why she left Daily Wire. And she's being very open about all that too. So it's interesting. I think it's really fascinating to watch floods of podcast viewers, you know, switching over to her right now because they're trying to figure out how to defend themselves from this predatory mass media that's trying to radicalize them, because normal people are seeing people getting radicalized on either side, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And all of a sudden Candace is there, and she's a black conservative who's been shunned by establishment conservatives now and the left. And that's how so many people feel in their own, you know, striving for finding an identity politic that actually matches reality, instead of one that's drummed up by a bunch of A&R flunkies and weaponized marketing dickheads.
Yeah, breaking news. So stock market has lost 7 trillion. It's what they say since the big announcement. So that's Putin's shirt. So it could be Russian disinformation coming from Putin's shirt, but we'll take it. We'll take it on face value. So Basil, you got a couple of stories before we wrap up here, and I'll just be filtering in some comments along the bottom. But go ahead, Basil.
Well, I've just shared my stories. It's the Dan Norris arrest, and another chap called Sam Gould, one of Wes Streeting's closest allies, another one of the avowedly pro-Zionist New Labour types. He's been forced to resign his seat on Redbridge Council because he'd been exposing himself to young girls, one of them 13 years old, I believe. So there seems to be a pattern here. Ivor Kaplan, who was very high up in Labour Friends of Israel, former MP, he was forced to, he was sort of outed in disgrace, having arranged to meet somebody underage via the internet. So the Labour Party is imploding in Britain, and it can't happen soon enough.
Yep. There's a comment. Basil is right. Yes, of course, he's always right. Thank you for pointing out one of those postulates of the universe, which is that Basil is always right. We know that. That's why he's here. This is why he's the political editor at the Pulse.today. Basil, so tell us about your broadcasting schedule. We'll bring up the network here on screen, the Pulse.today. Tell us how can
I'm 10 a.m. tomorrow morning with Swedish geopolitical analyst Mats Nielsen. And then later in the week, I've got some very exciting guests, including representative of the Palestinian Refugee Network, who she's hoping to be able to put me directly in touch with one or two of the few journalists still alive in Gaza. So we might actually have get on the line somebody, actually right there in the hellscape itself. But yes, it's an hour of international and UK news with me at 10 a.m. live every morning on the Pulse.today in vision as well.
Yep, and live streaming, catch it on X. I see it streaming there as well. Check the website for show times. Obviously, 10 a.m. UK time. That's Basil's slot. And also, Hesher, just give another shout out about your program as well on the Pulse.
Yeah, Bryan McClain Show broadcasting. You can see it up there on the upper right-hand side, the Pulse Radio 2, going audio only and going old school where I feel very, very comfortable. So just working over there, and you can find me live over there Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 2 Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. And I believe, let's see, that would be 8 p.m. UK time. Basil could correct me probably.
Yeah, 5 hours on top of the Eastern. Yeah, 5 hours ahead of Eastern.
All right, perfect. So 8 p.m. In the UK. And yeah, 2 hours over there, Monday through Friday. And we'd love it if you come over there and subscribe, become a member. That will help us get today's news talk, the Pulse, back to the glory that it 24/7 glory. It's still glorious, but we want that 24/7 glory back. And
those were the days.
Yeah, those were the days. And we want it. I spoke with Mike recently. He's feeling really positive about the whole thing. And, we'd love to have Ruckus back and a bunch of people from the team. So, we just need to achieve liftoff. And that's what Basil and myself and so many others are over there doing right now. So help us prove the model. Help us prove that we actually are the media. Don't let Elon Musk tell you that people that are getting $1,000 checks for every post that they put by a company, from a company called Influenceable. If you want that to be your new media, where you go to the accounts that have millions of followers on X, and just know, watch Boiler Room from last week. If you really want to see the receipts and everything, you're not the media. The new media is basically being bought out right now using the same tactics that the left used. Okay, so when in 2022, when there was not a red wave here in the United States, people started saying, well, we need the right is so broken. It needs to use left-wing tactics. Well, they're using a left-wing tactic on X right now to purchase the so-called independent media, to purchase so-called alternative voices. And we name names on Boiler Room. We got receipts on Boiler Room from some really good X users that we sourced that many of you follow already. I'm sure a lot of you are hip to this, but this is just one of many companies, marketing companies, as Ian Smith termed it, weaponized marketing. He did a great analysis on it too that spawned a really big discussion on Boiler Room. And we've had Ian here in the Sunday Wire before. Did a cool remote broadcast with you and him and others, Patrick. So, we need support here at 21stcenturywire.com, at alternatecurrentradio.com, at the Pulse.today. I know it sucks to feel like the people that you like and want to support are spread out across all these different places. But the fact of the matter is, it's the only way we survive. It's the only way we don't get an email with a list of bullet points and what picture we need to put up and what time we need to post it. That's literally what's happening with these Ian Chongs and these DC Dranos, these Liz Wheelers, all these people, meme accounts, Clown World, accounts that literally have a cartoon face and no name behind them, are making thousands of dollars for each post on top of a base salary, and they're feeding that to you like it's news, like you're the media, like those are the people you're going to look up to. So unfortunately, the situation is everyone that you like is, that's honest, is in the same situation we are, where we're spread out over multiple platforms, all these different ways you can support. It's overwhelming as a viewer. I feel overwhelmed by it because I have a lot of people I would like to support too. And this is just the situation that we're in. So those of you that have become subscribers or dropped anything in our swear jars, I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. We're literally fighting for the right to maintain free speech.
Absolutely, no exaggeration there. And thank you, Albo Martinez Resurrection. 21 Wire, as the kids would say, is based, not a bunch of partisan androids. Thank you very much. That's what the kids say. That's what the kids say. I was informed by one of our listeners that who homeschools and does homeschooling in a kind of cooperative, and for the geopolitics curriculum, they have included the Sunday Wire as part of their curriculum. And the kids say, I quote, "I like 21 Wire. I like the Sunday Wire because they're based." So that's pretty good. I'll take that.
Right. Nice.
The types of reviews that we like. So yeah, we're based. Yeah. So I guess, we're doing something right. We're being included on homeschool curriculums in international locations. So that's not bad. But listen, before we wrap up, guys, I'll go around the horn. Final thoughts and comments. Ruckus, go ahead.
Oh, no, I think I just spoke my piece today. A lot of the things that you guys were saying is exactly what I would have said, but you guys already said it. So that's what's awesome about working with like-minded people. Sometimes we're all on the same page here. So very concerned with the near future with this tariffs, with the technocracy. I wish I could come up with a third T, but I can't. So I'm just going to be doing my thing. Hopefully I'll have a new episode of my show coming out this week. And until that happens, I'm just going to be making sure that no drones are coming my way. That's what I'm worried about these days.
Yeah. Well, lucky you're not in Yemen. I'd like to be in Yemen, actually, but obviously not with the risk of being hit by, some U.S. taxpayer gear. No, thank you very much. But anyway, it's a different story. It's a beautiful country. The people are amazing. We've interviewed some journalists from there who are in Sana'a. Great people. They appreciate what we do. They support all the same geopolitical views that we do. So, not like our adversaries. I don't regard Yemenis as hostile, but unfortunately, Israel does. So that's another story. That's why Trump is weighed in to do the work to fulfill the orders of the U.S. president.
He's getting fresh orders this week. Netanyahu's on his way to Washington as we speak. So you've got
really?
Oh, yes, you've got the repulsive spectacle of the individual talking about the Antichrist that some people say is the Antichrist. He's certainly demonic enough. He's certainly bloodthirsty enough, the Prime Minister of Israel. One last tweet here from Blade of the Sun. Only Israel could machine gun 15 ambulance workers with video evidence and still have the media defending them. They are utterly sick, as are all the people who lie for them. And that's about the size of it. I wonder what the US media reaction, if there has been any, has been to this obvious war crime and atrocity.
Indeed. That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. And there you are, little Carle. You have always been my favorite, Patrick. Thank you very much. Little Carle is one of our super fans. She's also a powerhouse in the TNT and the Pulse chat rooms as well. Big shout out to little Carle. Thank you very much. Hesher, go ahead. Final thoughts, comments?
Okay, a couple things. The movie I referenced earlier was Elysium, the Matt Damon movie, if anyone's curious. The other Apple founder was Ronald Wayne. So just filling in those gaps there. one story someone dropped in, where'd it go? Someone dropped in our Discord. I'm not familiar with this website. It's bbsradio.com, but they're reporting that, according to a Vatican source, one of 3 frontrunners in the bid to succeed ailing Pope Francis is directly implicated in the death of children. In the past week, William Ejic, a senior Catholic cardinal and Vatican insider, was named by a source as being an active participant in the rituals of the Ninth Circle infanticide cult, including when he was a physician at the Leiden University Medical Center in the late 1970s. So there's a rabbit hole one can jump down. We'd love to hear your opinion.
He's a shoo-in, you're saying.
Exactly. And then one more thing I didn't get to say when we were talking about the protests that I wanted to get out there. Patrick, you were talking about the importance of the First Amendment. I just want to say, with regards to protests, it's important to understand at this point that almost anything and everything you hear about protests are true. They will be astroturfed. Yes. They will be organically attended. Yes. They will be co-opted. Yes. All these things are happening. And around that, you got to zoom out and think about this for a second, because what they do is when they know there's going to be a protest, they set up geofencing around it, right? So that means they know every cell phone that is moving around inside of there. And just think of it from a data standpoint and a law enforcement standpoint, if you can call this law enforcement. I would call it unconstitutional authoritarianism, but they can easily categorize all the people there, right? People that are paid and expected to be here, people that showed up organically, and their agitators. All those can be in there, identified by a color on a map. And every single one of those cells can be sorted in the database. So we saw them do that at J6, and what did they do? They took over 1,000 people and they arrested them with no due process. Now we're seeing it happen to people on the left, right? The people that are showing up organically, the actual activists, are being rounded up and deported in some cases. So you can see how this works. You can see how broken the protest system is. And it's because of technocracy. It's because of their ability to geofence the whole area, identify every person in there by a color or a label, and then boom, they can take punitive action against anyone on any side for having any opinion. That is the state of our protests right now. So yeah, you're right. They're being astroturfed. Yeah, you're right. There's people there, actual anti-war protesters there, young people there, students there at their own school. You know, yeah, there was a bunch of people at J6 and there were provocateurs there. There were over 100 FBI agents there. FBI agents went and made a gallows so that the New York Times could take a picture of a hangman's noose out in front of the Capitol building. This is the kind of fakery, clown world BS that we live in right now. And you got to understand that, you know, it's good to be an anti-war activist, but that's the situation you're walking into. It's good to be a freedom activist. It's good to be a First Amendment activist. But when you walk into those protests, that's the paradigm. And how does that make you feel about freedom of speech and whatever your chosen party might be? Because they're both creating this situation. And with that, I will yield and I'm done. I'm sorry I sat on the microphone so hard today, you guys.
No, that's good. We covered some important stuff. Obviously, this is all like real stuff. What Hesher's talking about, especially in terms of these technocracy trends and police state trends, are things that are covered regularly and every week on the Boiler Room and in his other programming as well. So these are well-developed subject areas, expert subject areas here. Swim against the stream. We home education in the UK, Patrick, and my 10-year-old loves listening to you. More homeschoolers subscribing to the Sunday Wire. This is really encouraging, folks.
Yeah, I'm going to clean up my language a little bit for you guys. Thanks for putting up with us.
Yeah, that's amazing. So anyway, thanks for the yep, well said, Hesher. That's right. From Dino Bomis there. Everyone is an enemy of this state. That is a black pill take from the Tree Girl. Amazing. Thank you very much. It's true. Everyone is the enemy of state. Anyone who with a pulse, no pun intended, be sure to tune into. I said the Pulse, so I feel like obligated to just do one
Boom,
more
boom.
plug before we go. There it is. Enemy of the state. The Pulse.today is definitely an enemy of the state. That's for sure. Very subversive network, the Pulse.today. So that's why we have such quality presenters, because you can't have a good subversive independent media network without quality presenters like Basil Valentine, like Bryan McClain, a.k.a. Hesher, and of course the Ruckus among us, frequenting on that network as well as on the Alternate Current network there, the Daily Ruckus. Folks, go to alternatecurrentradio.com and also the Boiler Room as well. So that's it, folks. I mean, we're going to wrap it up in a second. Just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's tuned in. And of course, our guests here on the program this week will be going shortly. Let me just come back here and find our way through the massive graphics. Thank you very much, Ruckus, Hesher, and Basil Valentine. Appreciate you guys. Putin's shirt is going to see us off with "We are being screwed royally." That is the sort of black pill take that we appreciate here at the Sunday Wire from Putin's shirt. Absolutely knows what buttons to push. That's right. So that's it. Thank you guys. Take care. And we'll see you guys on the streams, on the interwebs. Great to see you guys. Thank you for your amazing contributions this week. It has been another fantastic program, folks. And we appreciate you joining us wherever you are, especially if you're riding the streams on X and YouTube as well. We've got some very good numbers on Rumble, and we're very excited and encouraged by that. So it was great to see some of the people coming on the stream there via Rumble. So our channel is getting noticed a little more. And we just did a fantastic event with UK Column this weekend. Yesterday, in fact, I spoke at the UK Column conference on location in Cheltenham, just down the road from GCHQ, funny enough. And we had a couple of GCHQ veterans who spoke. Alex Thompson, who is a contributor with the UK Column for many years, as well as the famous whistleblower Catherine Gunn, also spoke. She was the final, you could say, headline speaker at this event yesterday on Tuesday. The movie Official Secrets, starring Keira Knightley, if anybody saw that film, that was based on Catherine Gunn's incredible story as a whistleblower on the Iraq War when she was working for British Signals Intelligence, GCHQ, back in 2003. An incredible story, and she shared that. It was great to hear that. I mean, for a very brave woman, also incredibly well informed about what's going on in the world. So it was just great to have her general take of the state of the world. You can watch that on ukcolumn.org. I think that's up on their streams as well. It might be a pay to access, but even if there's a one-time ticket there, it's definitely worth it. I spoke as well as Alex Thompson, and there were a few other speakers before me, Brian Garish from the UK Column as well. And there are a few others as well. So it was a good lineup, one-day event, full house. So a really good crowd, amazing crowd, and a lot of spirited debates before, during, between speakers, afterwards, into the late hours of the night. So for the independent media followers and watchers, those types of events are pretty, they can be exhausting, but they're also pretty amazing because it's a chance to really exchange ideas and brainstorm and sort of, delve into all types of issues. There's people there with, they're into all sorts of different areas of the sort of information warfare space, if you will, in alternative media. So it was great to hear all these different viewpoints on all these incredible issues. A lot of rabbit holes to go down. So much information, so many stories, so little time. This is the big dilemma. And one of the things that we've been able to do here is expand our offering at 21stcenturywire.com. We've been able to do that because of the support from people like you. And so if you think you want to see more of this type of content, this is the Sunday Wire, of course, every week. We've also added the midweek wire as well. And we just had an incredible program just last midweek with Freddie Ponton and we went into some deep analysis, especially on the Iran issue and other issues as well. So we're doing that every week as well. We have special guests. We'll probably have another special guest on Wednesday. I don't think Freddie's going to be able to make it on Wednesday, but that's the type of quality programming that we're doing consistently for you on all of these different platforms that we're reaching as well. We need your help to do it. So subscribe and become a member at 21wired.tv if you can, or donate if you're able to. Every single payment method is available there. Just go to our website, 21stcenturywired.com, hit on the donate or support button. You can also get it on top of my X Twitter profile. There's a link there that'll take you to our website. We need your help now more than ever, ladies and gentlemen, and we are being throttled, shadow banned, and censored like you wouldn't believe. So it's because of you that we're able to still not just survive, but also thrive and improve what we're doing, the level of content we're putting out as well each week, every day, in fact. The analysis, we've got people helping with that, as well as our video shorts every day are going out on all these platforms, including our TikTok channel. We just passed 5,000 followers on TikTok, all organic. We can't do any paid boosting because, of course, they've banned me from doing that for 10 years. I got a notice from TikTok, you're banned until 2034. I got that back in, I think, October 2024. So yeah, that's pretty amazing. Banned for 10 years from sort of paid accounts on TikTok. So somebody mass reported us, probably because we're saying something about the issue of Palestine, no doubt. But anyway, this is how it goes. We can't do it without your help, without your support. So we really appreciate anything that we can get, and we'll put it to good use. And again, this has been another edition of the Sunday Wire here at 21stcenturywire.com, alternatecurrentradio.com. You can catch us here pretty much all the time, every week, Sundays, 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. till 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have always an amazing lineup. We have a wonderful team, and we're always getting incredible insights on all the most important issues of the day. That's what we aim to do on this program, and we try to do that and over-deliver if we can every week. That every week our goal is to make the program more engaging, more interesting than the previous week. We've been doing that for over a decade, as has the Boiler Room and some of the other programs on our independent platform, Alternate Current Radio, 21stcenturywire.com. That's all we've got time for today. So I want to bid you farewell, ladies and gentlemen. It's been great seeing you. Thank you for spending your Sunday with us. Whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, whatever you've got planned for this coming week, we hope you have a great week. Take care. All the best.
For in the final analysis, we all inhabit this small planet, and we are all mortal.
Lately I've been watching the world gone mad. Brothers and sisters full to take a stand, to hate their fellow man, another man. Divide and conquer is the acronym plan. Distract the people, control the story. Don't believe your lying eyes, you know me. Stay in power no matter what. Playing with a doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gather your trust. Pushing us to turn to good. Corruption and lies, cruel impunity, always have an enemy to hell with all humanity. In power, no matter what, playing with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gamble your trust, pushing us to turn to dust. Stay in power, cash in the stars, playing with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and join the cause, pushing us to turn to dust. An empire of lies, history rhymes will turn to dust. Digital inmates scored on every move. Nowhere to hide, nothing to hold on to. Return to dust. Let's return to dust. Let's return to dust.
Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. In Gaza somehow. How many children have to die? There are no sides when their mothers cry, and no real way to justify their death that comes from an evil sky. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. In Gaza somehow. Damage like a nuclear bomb. Dresden in a kill box. People can't escape. They're told to leave, but where can they go? A genocide, some think it's biblical faith. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. In Gaza somehow. This might be the last time to raise a hand about who we are. What's this say about who we are? 'Cause this might be the last time to raise a hand about who we are. What's this say about who we are? Digital images and digital lies cut out their heart along with their supply. The propaganda leads to dehumanize our fellow humans